When everyone else withdrew, the chamber fell silent as one human soldier remained. Alex Carter walked through the wide halls of the council chamber, his boots making soft echoes against the smooth, pale floor. The chamber was enormous, taller than any building he had seen on Earth, with walls that glimmered faintly like glass but were harder than steel. Alien figures moved quickly around him. Their shapes were strange, some tall and thin with elongated arms, others shorter with armored shells covering their bodies. Alex had been trained to keep calm around different species, but even he felt a shiver of awe as he looked around. The council was in session. Leaders from different alien worlds had gathered to discuss trade, defense, and alliances. Alex's mission was simple: to protect the humans who were present and act as a liaison for emergencies. He wore his combat suit, dark and light, fitted with tools, communication devices, and a small energy weapon. He blended in surprisingly well among the aliens because his movement was smooth and cautious. Suddenly, a low vibration ran through the chamber. It was faint at first, like a humming sound deep in the walls, but it grew quickly. Alien leaders turned their heads, their large eyes reflecting fear and confusion. Some whispered to each other in strange languages. Alex instinctively dropped to one knee and scanned the room. He had trained for ambushes, attacks, and sudden evacuations. His eyes caught the first flashes of light far across the chamber. The emergency lights blinked on. Red panels above the doors lit up, and an alarm started ringing. A loud voice boomed in a language Alex could not understand. Alien security units rushed forward, their long legs moving faster than he could have imagined. They yelled commands, gesturing frantically. The leaders began to move toward the exits. Alex did not. He scanned the room and saw the center of the chamber, where the main leader sat. Lyra Sen, an alien with silver skin and eyes that shimmered like water, was struggling to rise. She had fallen during the commotion, her long cloak tangled under her. She looked around with panic, unsure where to go. Alex's instincts kicked in. He moved toward her, his steps fast but careful, avoiding other panicked aliens and the sudden flashes of sparks from damaged panels. "Stay calm," he said, speaking in a calm tone, though he knew she might not understand his words. His gestures were clear. He offered his hand, staying low to make himself less threatening. Lyra Sen hesitated but took it, allowing him to lift her gently. Behind him, the chamber erupted in chaos. Aliens ran, tripping over each other in their haste. Some screamed, their voices high and shrill. Security droids rolled forward, attempting to block exits, but the attackers, small, swift drones of unknown origin, were already inside. They shot beams that cut metal doors and walls. Sparks flew, and a few panels exploded. Smoke began filling the upper corners of the chamber. Alex led Lyra Sen toward a corner near one of the inner walls. He helped her sit on the floor, checking quickly for injuries. She was bruised, her breathing fast, but she was alive. That was enough. Alex reached for his communication device, trying to call for reinforcements. The signal was weak. The chamber's systems had been attacked, and he could only see static. He looked around and realized the terrible truth. Most of the aliens had fled. Their soldiers had abandoned the outer hall, leaving only scattered figures moving toward the exits. The central chamber, where decisions were made and leaders protected, was mostly empty except for Alex, Lyra Sen, and a few panicked aides. Alex knew that if he hesitated, the attackers would reach them in moments. He scanned the chamber for anything useful. The walls had hidden panels. Some had energy emitters, some had control boards. He could use them to delay the intruders. He moved quickly, crouching behind a support pillar and flipping switches, activating barriers that shimmered in blue. Some doors slid closed, slowing the drones. A flash of movement drew his attention. One of the drones shot toward them, small but fast, its energy pulse glowing red. Alex fired his weapon. A short burst, precise, and the drone fell, sparks flying from its body. Another appeared and then another. He fired again, careful to protect Lyra Sen, keeping himself between her and the attackers. Despite his calm actions, the fear in the room was real. Lyra Sen clutched his arm, her eyes wide. She did not speak, but her trust was clear. Alex felt a surge of determination. He did not have the luxury of fear. He had to stay strong, to hold the line until help arrived, or until he could find another way to protect her. The attackers kept coming. They were clever, moving through gaps in the barriers, avoiding the main doors. Alex moved like a shadow, firing and repositioning. He ducked behind consoles, leapt over fallen debris, and sometimes rolled to avoid beams that seared the floor where he had just been. Every movement was calculated, precise, yet fast. He realized something important. This chamber, this hall that seemed so immense, was also his advantage. The attackers were programmed for speed, not patience. He could use their aggression against them. He guided Lyra Sen to a central console, activating a few more defensive measures. Some walls extended metal bars to block hallways. Some panels shot short-range electric charges. Each action slowed the drones. Time stretched. Alex's breathing was steady but heavy. His suit showed minor scratches from sparks and debris. Lyra Sen, though frightened, began to understand that he was not like the other beings here. The aliens had fled, but this human stayed. She could see it in his eyes. He would not leave, no matter what. A sudden sound made him spin. A large drone, bigger than the others, rolled into the chamber. Its metal body gleamed, and it had long arms with sharp blades at the ends. Alex fired, but the shots bounced off its armor. He ducked and took cover, realizing he needed another plan. He looked around quickly and saw the support beams above. He aimed a launcher at a connection point, hitting it perfectly. The beam snapped and the large drone toppled, crashing loudly onto the floor. For a brief moment, silence fell. Sparks rained down and smoke filled the upper parts of the chamber, but Alex stood, breathing heavily, looking at the fallen attacker. Lyra Sen looked at him with something between awe and relief. He gave her a small nod, signaling that they were not safe yet but that he would protect her. The chamber around them was wrecked. Panels were broken, consoles destroyed, and scorch marks covered the floor. Yet Alex did not waver. He moved to check the exits again, realizing that more drones could come at any moment. He set small traps, small energy pulses that would slow anything trying to enter from the remaining doors. He thought about the others, the soldiers and aides who had fled. They were safe, yes, but they had abandoned the hall. Only he remained, and that was fine. He did not need anyone else. He only needed to stay alive long enough to protect Lyra Sen. Hours seemed to pass, though it might have been minutes. Alex kept moving, checking, firing, resetting barriers. Lyra Sen tried to help, but he told her to stay low and quiet. He understood fear. He had felt it many times in his life, but fear could not control him. It could not prevent him from doing what was right. At one point, he paused, leaning against a scorched wall. He wiped sweat from his forehead and looked at Lyra Sen. Her eyes were fixed on him, trying to understand why a human would stay when everyone else ran. Alex simply smiled faintly and shook his head. There were no words needed. His actions spoke louder than any language. Another flash of light came from the main entrance. A swarm of drones rushed in, but Alex was ready. He moved with a precision that surprised even himself, dodging, firing, and positioning Lyra Sen behind another barrier. The attackers hit the barriers, slowed, and some were destroyed by the traps he had set. The chamber fell quiet again for a moment. Alex crouched, listening. He could hear the soft whir of drones approaching from other corridors, but he had the advantage of knowing the layout. He knew the exits, the weak points, and the places where the attackers would hesitate. He was alone, but not helpless. Finally, Alex allowed himself a brief thought. This hall, this council chamber, this strange alien place that seemed more like a palace than a building, had a protector now. And that protector would not leave. Not until every threat was gone or until he could ensure the leader's safety. Alex stood, ready for the next wave. Lyra Sen watched him, fear and admiration mixing in her expression. The other aliens were gone. The attackers had not yet taken control. And in the middle of the chaos, one human soldier remained. And he would not retreat. Alex Carter stayed low behind the barrier, his breathing steady, though the sound of approaching drones echoed through the chamber like thunder. Lyra Sen crouched beside him, trembling but silent. Alex kept one hand on his weapon, the other ready to guide her if she needed to move. He had learned early in his career that staying calm was the key to survival. Panic never helped anyone. The first wave of attackers had slowed, but he knew more were coming. Their patterns were predictable, yet they were relentless. He watched them approach another entrance. Small drones, moving in groups of 3 or 4, scuttled along the polished floor. Each one was equipped with a pulse gun, and Alex could see the faint red glow of their targeting systems. He raised his weapon and fired. Quick, precise bursts. 2 drones were disabled instantly. A third darted closer, spinning in the air to avoid his shots. Alex rolled to the side and hit a small panel on the wall. A short energy barrier shot out, blocking the drone's path and forcing it to collide with the wall. Sparks flew, and the drone toppled. Lyra Sen's eyes widened. She had never seen a human fight like this. He did not hesitate. He did not panic. Even when danger was so close, he was calm. She could not understand it, but she felt a strange comfort knowing he was there. Why do you stay?" she whispered, her voice shaky. Alex glanced at her. "Because you need me," he said simply. "Fear does not help now, only action." She nodded, though she did not fully understand his words, but she could see it in his eyes. He meant it. He would not leave. The drones retreated slightly, regrouping in the wider hall outside the chamber. Alex took a quick moment to breathe and scan the room. The council hall was wrecked. Broken panels hung from the ceiling, sparking occasionally. Smoke drifted from scorch marks on the walls. Pieces of furniture, shattered consoles, and debris littered the floor. It would have been a terrifying sight for anyone else, but Alex had seen worse. He moved to a console near the corner and tapped a few controls. A series of mechanical sounds followed. Metal plates slid across the floor, creating narrow corridors and blocking some entrances. Other panels released bursts of energy, ready to shock anything that touched them. It was not a perfect defense, but it would slow the attackers long enough for him to plan the next move. Lyra Sen watched silently. She realized that he was not just fighting. He was thinking, planning, preparing. He was using the chamber itself as a weapon, and she began to understand something new about humans. The next wave came faster than the first. Larger drones moved in, their legs clicking against the floor as they advanced. One of them carried a small arm cannon, firing short pulses of energy at the barriers. Sparks flew as the beams struck the walls and floor. Alex did not hesitate. He fired at weak points in the drone's armor, aiming carefully. A short burst disabled the arm cannon, and another hit the drone's leg, causing it to fall heavily. But more kept coming. Alex could hear them moving through side corridors, closing in. He knew he could not hold them forever. The chamber was too large and they were too many. Still, he refused to give up. Each drone he destroyed was another second for Lyra Sen to survive. Each second counted. "Stay low," he said, "and move only when I tell you." Lyra Sen obeyed, leaning against a wall and watching him. She saw how he moved, how he anticipated the drone's attacks, how he used the environment to his advantage. She had never imagined that a single human could hold back so many attackers alone. Alex noticed a small group of drones trying to flank them from the side. He quickly moved to a control panel, pressing several buttons. The floor shifted slightly, raising panels and creating obstacles. The drones hit them and stumbled. He fired again, taking advantage of their confusion. 2 fell immediately. The others hesitated, giving him time to retreat slightly while keeping Lyra Sen protected. Despite the chaos, Alex remained focused. Every movement was precise. Every action was deliberate. He did not panic. He did not shout. He only acted, and it worked. After a short pause, the drones began regrouping. They communicated with each other through faint pulses of light, moving as a coordinated unit. Alex understood that they were learning. They were adapting. He had to be faster, smarter, and stronger than their programming. He scanned the chamber for more options. Above, the ceiling had a network of pipes and panels. He could use them to create distractions or even drop obstacles on the attackers. He grabbed a nearby tool, a small launcher, and aimed at a support beam. A precise shot, and the beam shifted, sending a piece of metal crashing down. It struck a drone, sending it flying across the floor. Sparks erupted. Lyra Sen flinched but did not scream. She began to realize that Alex's actions were more than just defense. They were teaching her something. Humans could be small in number but mighty in courage and intelligence. They could think in ways others could not. The largest drones approached again, moving cautiously this time. Alex fired at weak points, then darted behind cover, leading them toward energy traps he had set earlier. One by one, they fell, delayed, or disabled. He was tiring, but he did not show it. Every second mattered. A loud crash sounded from the main entrance. Several drones had broken through another barrier. Alex could see them approaching in the distance. He took a deep breath and aimed his weapon. He moved fast, firing with perfect timing. 2 drones exploded in sparks and smoke. One managed to hit a nearby console, causing more damage. The room shook slightly, and a piece of the ceiling fell. Alex jumped aside, keeping Lyra Sen behind him. He counted the seconds in his mind. He needed to hold the attackers long enough for help to arrive. He did not know if reinforcements were coming, but he refused to leave. He refused to fail. Through the smoke and sparks, a voice called from outside. It was not human. Alex could not understand it, but it was not friendly. The drones reacted, moving faster, more aggressively. He knew they had noticed him as the main threat. That was fine. It made his plan simpler. He would face them directly, one by one if necessary. He moved to another console, activating another set of energy pulses. The room flashed as beams shot out, hitting drones that tried to approach. 2 more fell, their metal bodies sparking. Alex did not pause. He fired at another drone, then quickly moved to cover. His movements were smooth, almost like a dance. Lyra Sen began to whisper, though Alex did not hear the words clearly. She was impressed, amazed, and frightened all at once. No alien in the chamber had ever stood against so many attackers alone. Only this human could do it. Alex saw another group approaching from a side corridor. He aimed carefully, firing and hitting the weak points of their armor. One fell, then another. The drones were learning, adapting, but Alex was faster, thinking several moves ahead. He led them toward another trap, causing a small explosion that sent 3 more flying. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Smoke filled the air. Despite the chaos, Alex's focus never wavered. Every movement, every shot, every action was to protect Lyra Sen. He thought of the other humans he had trained with, the battles he had fought, and the promise he had made, to protect those who could not protect themselves. This was no different. Hours, or maybe minutes passed. Time blurred in the chaos. Alex moved constantly, firing, setting traps, and guiding Lyra Sen. The attackers were relentless, but so was he. He refused to retreat. He refused to abandon the chamber. Finally, there was a brief lull. The drones were reorganizing again. Alex crouched behind a pillar, wiping sweat from his forehead. He looked at Lyra Sen. She had remained silent but steady. Her eyes held something new: trust, respect, and understanding. "You are different," she said softly. "No one else stayed, only you." Alex gave a faint nod. "I do not fight because it is easy. I fight because it is right." She did not fully understand, but she felt it. The human in front of her was not just strong. He was brave, intelligent, and unyielding. He was the reason she was still alive. A new sound came from above. More drones were approaching, larger this time. Alex stood ready. He checked his weapons, activated another set of traps, and positioned Lyra Sen safely. He knew this wave would be difficult. He might be outnumbered, but he would not give up. He could not give up. The drones came rushing in, and Alex moved with them, firing, dodging, and thinking. Each movement counted. Each action was precise. Every second he held them off was another second for survival. In the middle of chaos, smoke, and sparks, Alex Carter, a single human soldier, remained. The chamber had fallen silent for a moment, but he was ready to fight again. He would not leave. He would not fail. And in that moment, even amidst fear, even amidst destruction, one human showed the aliens what courage truly meant. The chamber was quiet for a moment, but the quiet was heavy, full of tension. Smoke lingered in the corners and sparks fell from damaged panels like slow rain. Alex Carter crouched low behind a shattered console, his eyes scanning every entrance. He could hear the faint hum of drones moving in the corridors, preparing for another attack. His body ached and his suit had scratches and burns, but he refused to slow down. Lyra Sen crouched beside him, her breathing heavy but steady. She had begun to trust him completely, though fear still lingered in her wide eyes. Alex tapped a control panel near his elbow, activating another set of defensive measures. The floor panels slid into place, creating narrow passages that forced the drones to slow down. Energy pulses flickered along the walls, ready to shock any machine that came too close. He was alone, yet the chamber was no longer helpless. It had become a maze designed by his mind and skill. A sudden noise made him turn. From the main entrance, a group of drones appeared. These were larger than before, their armor thicker, their weapons stronger. Alex could see them calculating, moving with purpose. They were not just random machines. They were designed to destroy, and they knew he was the threat. Alex took a deep breath. He had trained for situations like this, though never against so many and so advanced. He adjusted his stance, gripping his weapon tightly. His eyes darted between the drones and Lyra Sen, making sure she stayed safe. "Stay low," he whispered, and she obeyed, leaning against a corner wall as he prepared to move. The drones advanced, firing pulses of energy that struck the floor and walls around him. Sparks flew and smoke thickened. Alex rolled to the side, firing carefully. One drone fell, its circuits fried by a precise shot. Another lunged toward him, but he triggered a nearby energy trap. The drone collided with it, and the shockwave sent it flying into a wall. Still more came. They moved faster now, some coordinating their attacks. Alex did not panic. He moved with them, dodging and striking, using every tool at his disposal. He threw small explosive charges that he had prepared, hitting 2 drones at once. Sparks and smoke erupted and the machine staggered, giving him space to retreat and guide Lyra Sen to a safer position. "You are amazing," Lyra Sen said quietly, her voice trembling. "I have never seen anyone fight like this." Alex did not respond. Words were useless in the moment. He only nodded briefly and focused on the drones approaching from a side corridor. They were clever, trying to flank him. He ran toward another console and tapped several switches. Metal plates slid into place, blocking the drones' path and forcing them into narrow corridors where he could control their movement. The attackers hesitated, scanning for new paths. Alex took advantage of the pause. He fired rapidly, taking out another 2 drones before they could react. One managed to fire at him, grazing his shoulder. Pain shot through his body, but he ignored it. He would not stop. Not now, not ever. Lyra Sen watched in awe as he moved, her fear slowly transforming into admiration. She realized that this human was not fearless because he felt no fear. He was fearless because he acted despite it. His mind was sharp, his reflexes precise, and his courage unbreakable. From above, a loud clang echoed. Alex glanced up to see that part of the ceiling had loosened during the battle. He quickly aimed a small launcher, targeting a support beam above a group of drones. With a precise shot, the beam fell, smashing into the attackers and sending sparks flying everywhere. 3 drones were destroyed instantly. The largest drone, bigger than the others and heavily armored, advanced toward him. It had a heavy arm cannon and moved with deliberate steps. Alex realized this was the main threat. He could not let it reach Lyra Sen. He aimed his weapon, fired at weak points in its armor, and rolled to avoid a heavy strike. The drone staggered but did not fall. Alex thought quickly. He could not defeat it with direct fire alone. He ran toward another control panel, pulling levers that activated a set of energy barriers in the center of the chamber. The drone followed him, but its size made it slow. It collided with the barriers, sparking and staggering. Alex seized the moment and fired several short bursts at its joints. Sparks erupted from the armor and the drone stumbled. He did not pause. He knew more drones were approaching from other corridors. He led the massive machine into a narrow passage where it could not turn easily. The drone struggled, striking walls and obstacles. Alex fired once more, hitting a critical point, and the drone finally collapsed with a loud metallic crash. Breathing heavily, Alex looked around. The other drones hesitated. They had lost their leader, and their movements became cautious. He used the moment to move Lyra Sen to the center of the chamber, where the energy traps and barriers could protect her best. The battle was not over. More drones appeared, moving faster and smarter. Alex gritted his teeth. He had to hold them off no matter what. He fired, dodged, and moved constantly, using every advantage the chamber offered. He triggered hidden panels, electric traps, and falling beams, slowing the attacker's progress. Lyra Sen watched silently. She realized that his strength was not only in his weapon or his speed, it was in his mind. He thought ahead, predicted the drone's movements, and used the environment like an extension of himself. This human was unlike any soldier she had ever seen. Hours seemed to blur. Sparks flew, panels fell, smoke filled the chamber. Alex moved constantly, never pausing, never slowing. He was tired, but his determination was stronger than exhaustion. He could not leave. He would not leave. Another wave of drones came from the side corridor. They were smaller but faster, moving in coordinated groups. Alex fired quickly, taking them down one by one. One of them managed to hit a panel near him, sending sparks across the floor. Alex ducked, rolling to the side, and fired again. A second drone fell. The rest hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Lyra Sen whispered, You are saving us all." Alex only nodded, his focus unbroken. He moved toward a nearby console and activated a final set of traps. Energy beams shot out across the floor, walls, and ceiling, striking any drone that entered their path. Sparks flew as the beams hit attackers, disabling several instantly. The chamber trembled as more drones arrived from the main entrance. Alex saw them coming and smiled faintly. He did not fear them. He had a plan. He moved quickly, firing, dodging, and guiding Lyra Sen to a safer corner. He triggered a trap that dropped a large metal panel onto the floor, crushing 3 drones. Another drone fired at him, but he rolled behind a console and returned fire, disabling it. Time seemed to stretch. Every second was a battle, every moment a fight for survival. Alex moved with precision, his mind calculating, his reflexes sharp. Lyra Sen watched, amazed and afraid. She realized that humans could be small in number but mighty in courage. They could face overwhelming odds and survive through determination and intelligence. The attackers began to hesitate again. They were learning, but Alex was faster, smarter, and stronger in his thinking. He used every tool, every trap, every advantage the chamber offered. He fired at weak points, triggered energy beams, and moved Lyra Sen safely behind barriers. Finally, there was a brief pause. The drones regrouped, but their advance had slowed significantly. Alex crouched behind a console, breathing heavily. His suit was scratched and scorched, but he was still standing. Lyra Sen looked at him, awe and respect in her eyes. You are not like anyone else," she said quietly. "No one stayed, only you." Alex smiled faintly, shaking his head. "I fight because it is right," he said. "Not because it is easy." She did not fully understand, but she could feel it. This human, small in number but mighty in courage, had become the protector of the chamber. He had faced overwhelming odds alone, and he had not retreated. The drones began to move again, but Alex was ready. He had learned their patterns, predicted their movements, and set traps. He moved with them, firing, dodging, and striking. One by one, the attackers fell, slowed, or were destroyed by the chamber's defenses. Hours or maybe minutes passed. Smoke and sparks filled the room. Panels and debris covered the floor. Yet Alex did not falter. Every movement was calculated. Every action was deliberate. Every second he held the drones back was a second Lyra Sen could survive. He glanced at her. "Stay close," he said. "We are not done yet." She nodded, understanding that he would not leave, that he would protect her no matter what. And in that moment, even amidst chaos, destruction, and fear, one human soldier stood unbroken. Alex Carter, alone but unyielding, became more than a protector. He became a symbol that even when all others fled, one human could stand against the impossible. One human could hold the line. One human could inspire hope where others saw only despair. And the attackers, relentless as they were, began to realize that defeating him would not be easy. Alex Carter moved quickly through the ruined chamber, scanning every corridor, every doorway, every shadow. Sparks fell from damaged panels, and smoke drifted through the air, filling his mask with a faint burning smell. The attackers were relentless, but he had slowed them. Every trap he had set, every shot he had fired, every movement he had made kept Lyra Sen alive. He was tired, his muscles ached, but he could not stop. He had promised himself that he would not leave her side. From the side corridor he heard movement. It was different from the drones. Slower, heavier steps. Alex tensed, gripping his weapon. The sound grew closer, and he could see figures emerging from the smoke. Alien soldiers. His heart lifted slightly. They were hesitant, cautious. Many had fled when the first attack began, but now they were returning. "Follow me," Alex whispered to Lyra Sen. He led her toward a safer corner near a console he had reinforced. The alien soldiers hesitated at first, looking at him, unsure if they should trust the human. Then one of them stepped forward. It was Kara Ven, a tall alien officer with dark green skin and armored plating along her arms and legs. Her eyes widened as she saw the scene. You are still here?" Kara asked, her voice trembling slightly. "We thought everyone had retreated. Only you remained." Alex nodded, keeping his weapon trained on the entrances. "I am here to protect her," he said simply. "Stay close and follow my lead." Kara Ven looked at the other soldiers. Some of them were injured, some were exhausted, but they began to understand. They had been afraid, but seeing Alex stand alone, holding back the attackers, gave them courage. Slowly, carefully, they began moving toward the chamber, following his lead. The attackers noticed the returning soldiers and reacted immediately. Drones swarmed the hall, firing energy pulses at anyone in sight. Alex fired first, targeting the closest attackers with precision. Kara Ven and her soldiers followed, moving carefully but determinedly. They fired together, each shot coordinated with Alex's movements. "Keep moving," Alex shouted. "We can push them back if we work together." The combined force began to change the tide. The attackers were still dangerous, but they were confused by the sudden return of alien soldiers. They had expected only one human to be holding the chamber. Now they faced humans and aliens working as one. Alex moved toward a central console, activating more energy barriers and traps. Panels slid into place, beams shot out, and small explosives detonated in calculated spots. The drones hit the obstacles and were delayed. Kara Vin and the other soldiers took advantage of the confusion, targeting the slowed attackers. Lyra Sen watched in awe. The human who had stood alone, unafraid and determined, had inspired the others. His courage had reminded them that retreat was not the only option. She realized that Alex's bravery was not only in his fighting skill, but in his ability to inspire others. The attackers regrouped and advanced again, larger in number, more coordinated than before. Alex adjusted his strategy, moving with Kara Vin's soldiers, guiding them to cover and directing their fire. Together, they fought back, step by step. Each drone that fell was a victory, each barrier that slowed them bought more time. Alex noticed a weak point in the enemy formation. A narrow corridor led to the main chamber where Lyra Sen had been safe. If they could hold that corridor, they could protect her completely. He signaled to Kara Ven and the others. "This corridor is key," he said. "Hold it. Do not let any drone through. We can do this together." The soldiers nodded, their confidence renewed by Alex's determination. They spread out along the corridor, taking positions behind cover and preparing their weapons. Alex moved to the front, leading the defense. The attackers came in waves. Alex fired, dodged, and moved quickly, keeping the drones at bay. Kara Vin and her soldiers fired as well, targeting drones that tried to flank them. Sparks flew, panels were damaged, but they held their ground. One drone managed to break through a barrier and charged toward Lyra Sen. Alex reacted instantly, firing a precise shot that disabled it before it could reach her. She flinched but remained calm, seeing that the human was always ready, always protecting her. The battle continued for what felt like hours. Alex's movements were smooth and deliberate. He fired, ducked, and repositioned constantly. Kara Vin followed his lead, coordinating with her soldiers. Together, they created a defensive line that the attackers could not easily break. At one point, a large group of drones attempted to charge through a side entrance. Alex activated a trap he had prepared earlier. A metal panel dropped from above, crushing several drones. Sparks and smoke filled the air. Kara Vin and her soldiers fired at the remaining attackers, taking them down one by one. Lyra Sen realized that the human was not only fighting, he was teaching them strategy, showing them how to use the chamber itself as a weapon. His intelligence, courage, and determination were unmatched. She understood that this human's actions had given the alien soldiers a chance to fight back. Alex noticed that some of the drones were trying to regroup at the far end of the chamber. He moved quickly, firing at key targets to prevent them from forming another attack. Kara Vin followed, her soldiers supporting him. They worked as a team, each action coordinated and precise. The attackers began to hesitate. They were learning, adapting, but Alex and the alien soldiers were faster. Every trap, every shot, every movement counted. They were holding the chamber. Suddenly, a massive drone appeared from the smoke. It was larger than any they had faced before, heavily armored and armed with multiple weapons. Alex did not hesitate. He signaled to Kara Vin and the others. "This one is the main threat," he shouted. "Focus fire. We can take it down together." The soldiers understood. They moved into position, following his lead. Alex fired first, hitting weak points in the drone's armor. Sparks flew, and the drone staggered. Kara Vin and her soldiers followed, targeting other weak spots. The combined firepower began to overwhelm the massive drone. It swung its arms, firing energy pulses, but Alex dodged and fired again. The other soldiers targeted its joints, weakening its armor. Finally, with a coordinated attack, the massive drone collapsed, sparks flying as it hit the floor. The chamber fell quiet for a moment. Alex, Kara Vin, and the other soldiers stood together, breathing heavily. They had held the line. The attackers had been pushed back and the main threat was neutralized. Lyra Sen stepped forward, her eyes wide with awe. All of you stayed," she said. "You held the chamber. You saved us." Alex shook his head. "We worked together," he said simply. You trust each other, follow orders, and stay calm. That is what made the difference. Kara Vin nodded. No one believed we could stand against them alone, she said. But you showed us the way. Your courage gave us strength, Alex smiled faintly. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting despite fear. We all have it inside us. Sometimes we just need someone to show us how to use it. The chamber was damaged, but it was secure. Sparks still flew from broken panels and smoke lingered, but the attackers had been defeated for now. Alex checked on Lyra Sen, making sure she was safe. She was bruised and shaken, but alive. The alien soldiers began to regroup, repairing barriers and helping each other. Alex moved among them, giving instructions and guiding them. They followed him because they trusted him, because they had seen what one human could do. Lyra Sen approached Alex. I do not understand how you can be so brave, she said softly. Even when everyone else ran, you stayed, you never gave up. Alex shook his head. It is not about being brave, he said. It is about doing what is right, protecting others even when it is hard. That is what matters. She looked at him, her eyes full of respect and something more. You are more than just a soldier, she said. You are a protector, a guide, a symbol. Alex nodded, but he knew the battle was not completely over. Other attackers could come. He could not relax completely. He moved to another console, checking the remaining barriers and traps. The alien soldiers followed his lead, learning from his actions, becoming stronger because of him. For the first time since the attack began, the chamber felt like it had hope. The aliens had returned, guided by a human soldier. The attackers had been pushed back, and the leaders were safe. Alex had shown them that even when all seemed lost, one determined human could change the outcome. Hours passed as they secured the chamber. Alex continued to move, checking every corner, every entrance. Lyra Sen stayed close, watching, learning. She realized that his actions were teaching them all something important. Courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome even the greatest odds. By the end of the day, the attackers were gone, and the chamber was under control. The alien soldiers gathered around Alex, thanking him, respecting him, and seeing him as more than just a human soldier. He had shown them what it meant to stand when others would run, to fight when all seemed lost, and to protect when it mattered most. Lyra Sen looked at him, her eyes shining. You stayed when everyone else withdrew, she said softly. And because of that, we survived. You showed us the meaning of courage, Alex smiled faintly. It is not just me, he said. It is all of us working together, but sometimes one person must stand first. That is what I did. The alien soldiers nodded, understanding the lesson. They had witnessed it firsthand. Courage, determination, and intelligence could turn the tide of battle, even against overwhelming odds. And one human had reminded them of that truth. The chamber, though damaged, was safe. The attackers had been defeated. And in the quiet moments that followed, Alex Carter stood among the aliens, not just as a soldier, but as a symbol of hope, bravery, and the strength of the human spirit. The chamber was quiet now, but not completely still. Smoke lingered in the corners, and sparks from broken panels drifted lazily to the floor. The smell of burnt metal filled the air. Alex Carter stood in the center of the room, breathing steadily but with a hint of fatigue. His suit was scratched and scorched, but he was unharmed. He looked around at the alien soldiers who were slowly regrouping and repairing what they could. Kara Vin stepped forward, her eyes wide with respect. You did it, she said. You held the chamber when no one else could. You protected our leader. You saved us all. Alex shook his head. I only did what needed to be done, he said simply. Courage is not about doing what is easy. It is about doing what is right. Lyra Sen, the alien leader, moved closer. She had been bruised and shaken during the attacks, but she was standing now, supported by two aides. Her silver skin was scorched in places, and her cloak was torn, but her eyes were calm and clear. She looked at Alex with deep admiration. You are more than a soldier, she said. You are a protector. When everyone else fled, you stayed. You did not run, and because of that we survived." Alex smiled faintly, feeling the weight of her words. He had been trained for combat, for strategy, and for survival. But he had never imagined that one human soldier could inspire so many different beings. It was not about skill alone. It was about determination, courage, and the refusal to give up. The alien soldiers began to gather around, some tending to the injured, others repairing damaged panels. They looked at Alex with a mixture of awe and gratitude. Kara then spoke again. "You have shown us what humans can do. You fight with bravery, with intelligence, and with determination. You have reminded us that one person can make a difference." Alex nodded. "We all can," he said. "Sometimes it only takes one to start, but it is always better when we work together." The chamber was slowly being restored. Energy barriers were repaired, consoles were rebooted, and the damaged panels were replaced with temporary shields. The attackers had been driven back, retreating into the corridors outside, and for now, the chamber was safe. Lyra Sen stepped closer to Alex. "I want you to understand something important," she said softly. "Humans are small in number compared to the stars, yet they carry a strength that others often do not see. Your courage today will be remembered across many worlds." Alex shook his head, trying to brush off the praise. "I only did what anyone should do," he said. "I protected those who could not protect themselves, that is all." But Lyra Sen did not let him dismiss it. "It is not all," she said. "It is everything." Today, one human soldier stood against impossible odds. One human soldier held the line when everyone else withdrew. That is why we survived. That is why the council remains intact. That is why hope continues. Alex looked around the chamber. The aliens were moving with purpose, rebuilding, helping the injured, and regaining control. He realized that his actions had done more than hold off attackers. They had inspired hope. Even in the darkest moments, even when fear had silenced the chamber, one human soldier had stood, and that stand had reminded others of their own strength. Kara then approached him, her eyes thoughtful. "You have given us more than survival," she said. "You have given us courage. You have shown us that even when all seems lost, one determined being can make a difference. You have reminded us of the value of bravery, intelligence, and action." Alex felt a rare warmth at her words. Humans often thought of themselves as small, as fragile, or as insignificant in the vast universe. But today, his actions had proven otherwise. Courage, determination, and quick thinking could overcome overwhelming odds. Even a single human could change the outcome of a battle, and perhaps even the course of history. Lyra Sen stepped closer and placed a hand on his shoulder. "You must know this, Alex Carter. You have inspired more than just your allies. You have inspired every being in this chamber. You have reminded us of what it means to stand when others fall, to act when fear paralyses, and to protect when others would abandon hope." Alex nodded quietly. He did not need praise. The look in Lyra Sen's eyes, the respect of the alien soldiers, and the knowledge that they had survived were enough. He had done what he had set out to do. He had held the line, protected the leader, and reminded everyone that courage could turn the tide even when all seemed lost. The chamber began to feel calmer. Energy barriers hummed steadily, consoles displayed normal readings, and the remaining smoke was slowly vented out. The injured were being attended to, and the soldiers who had fled earlier were returning, seeing that it was safe. Alex felt a sense of relief. The immediate threat was gone, and for the first time in hours he could breathe. Lyra Sen looked around the chamber, her eyes bright with gratitude. "We owe you our lives," she said. "Not just as a soldier, but as a being who reminded us of the power of determination, courage, and human strength. Your actions today will be remembered across worlds. You have proven the value of humanity to those who doubted it." Alex shook his head. "I did what anyone should do," he said. "I did not think about glory or recognition. I only thought about protecting you and the chamber." But Kara then smiled. That is exactly what makes your actions remarkable, she said. You fought not for reward, not for recognition, but for what was right. That is why one human soldier can inspire so many. The chamber slowly returned to order. Broken panels were repaired, fires extinguished, and energy systems stabilized. The alien soldiers worked together with precision, guided by the example Alex had set. They moved with purpose, courage, and confidence, knowing that even in the face of overwhelming odds, they could succeed. Lyra Sen turned to Alex once more. Your bravery has changed the course of today, she said. You have reminded us that humans are not to be underestimated. You have proven that one being determined and fearless can hold the line when others would flee. That is a lesson we will carry with us forever. Alex nodded quietly. He did not need accolades. The respect in the eyes of the aliens, the knowledge that they had survived, and the understanding that his actions had made a difference were reward enough. The chamber, once a scene of chaos and destruction, was now a place of recovery and hope. Soldiers moved with purpose, leaders were safe, and the attackers had been driven back. The battle was over, but the lesson remained. Courage, intelligence, and determination could overcome even the greatest odds. Alex looked around at the alien soldiers, seeing their admiration and respect. He realized that his actions had inspired not just survival, but strength. They had seen firsthand that even when all others withdrew, one human soldier could stand, fight, and make a difference. Lyra Sen stepped closer, her eyes meeting his. You have done more than fight, she said. You have reminded us of the power of humanity, of courage, and of hope. Your actions will be remembered and your name will be honored across worlds. Today, one human soldier stood alone. But that stand has changed everything. Alex felt a quiet pride. He had done what was right, acted with courage, and protected those who could not protect themselves. He had stood when others withdrew. And in doing so, he had become more than a soldier. He had become a symbol of hope, bravery, and the strength of the human spirit. The alien soldiers gathered around him, some bowing slightly, others nodding with respect. Lyra Sen placed her hand on his shoulder once more. You are a hero, Alex Carter, she said. Not because of your weapons, not because of your training, but because of your courage, determination, and unwavering commitment to what is right. You have reminded us all of what it means to stand, even when all seems lost. Alex nodded quietly. He did not need more words. The chamber was safe, the attackers were gone, and the aliens had regained confidence. He had done what he had set out to do. As the chamber slowly returned to normal, Alex realized that his actions had done more than save lives. He had inspired courage, reminded others of their strength, and proven that one human could make a difference. The battle was over, but the lesson would remain forever. In the hearts of the alien soldiers and leaders, Alex Carter's courage would be remembered. When fear had silenced the chamber and everyone else withdrew, he had stood. And because of that stand, hope survived. Alex looked around one last time, seeing the chamber restored and the aliens working together. He knew that the battle was won, not just by strength, but by determination, courage, and the human spirit. One human soldier had stood alone, and that was enough to change everything. And in that moment, Alex Carter understood something simple, yet powerful. Courage was not measured by the number of allies, the size of the army, or the strength of weapons. It was measured by the willingness to stand, to act, and to protect when others would run. He had stood. And because of that, the chamber, the leaders, and the hope of many worlds had survived.